years ago. 9 years ago, a game was released that, whilst I was 12 at the time, I think you probably know what it's called. You don't need me to tell you what this game's called, but I'm going to anyway. This game's called...
Lock and load. Stay frosty.
Oh man, today is of course that day. We're going to be talking about Call of Duty 4 Remastered, if it wasn't, obvious enough already. I've seen that initial, that clip I showed you, I've seen that 20 million times, mainly because I've just been replaying it over and over again in Sony Vegas, but it's absolutely incredible. I really cannot wait for this game to come out. Now, I was a massive Call of Duty fan years and years and years ago. Like I mentioned, when I was 12, I used to play this game non-stop. This was literally, as sad as it might say to kind of admit it, this game was my life when I was a 12-year-old. So do that with what you may. I'm not really too sure what I expect from the remaster. What I really hope they do is I hope they kind of keep it, because from what I can see of the kind of campaign little snippet we saw just then, it seems like obviously there's a huge update in graphics, boosting up to current generation times. There's a massive improvement to character animation, whether or not that's just a cinematic. Because I replayed the COD 4 campaign quite recently, and when you go down that zipline on Crew Expandable, I think that's what it's called. But either way, when you go down from the ship onto the actual boat, obviously that actually happened. It wasn't like a cutscene. So if that was actually, in game, that's what happens. The character animation looks so far improved. It's stunning, and that's pretty much all we saw. Obviously, near the end when they showed that kind of AK-47, there's a huge improvement to weapon sounds, possibly how they perform. I'm not too sure how they're going to kind of approach the weapons. If they do, hopefully it's not too drastic. I imagine they probably will do, but either way, that looks really exciting. I'm really excited for some of the changes, not changes as such, but more updates and improvements that we'll probably see from this game. It looks incredible. Of course, we haven't really seen a whole lot because there's only about 30 seconds so far. The multiplayer of Call of Duty 4. Now, as you might know, Call of Duty 4 nowadays is not very playable. We'll leave it at that, because some of the servers are playable. They're just heavily modified. And even though, actually, I do want to say this, because I joined a PC server, the text was changed, it's all multicolored and such. People weren't flying about as you would expect on maybe the console, but they added just classic dubstep to every single kill cam. Now, when I say every single kill cam, I mean every single kill cam. It got to the point where you don't want to have ears anymore.
Let the thing go.
No! I don't know, it was just something different, and especially when your kill cam came through, if you ever got the final kill, which I didn't very regularly, but I did on one occasion, and it was really nice. It was just, I don't know, it was a really nice feature, which is quite strange because I would never want that in the actual game. So it was really strange and weird, but fairly enjoyable at the same time. That point aside, there are some playable servers, and it's actually still really good fun. There have been 5 confirmed to be coming back into the remaster, which, if you don't know, are Crash, Backlot, Crossfire, Overgrown, and Bog. There was 16 base maps, there was 4 DLC, so there was essentially 20 maps, but we'll say 16. So they're cutting out 6 maps. Now, I'm not going to say which 6 maps they're going to be because I physically couldn't say. For me, when I played the game, what made the game so addictive to play all the time was the maps. They made the game replayable, if that makes sense. So you'd always want to come back and, you know, play the game, and the maps were just that enjoyable that you'd want to come back and play on them again. I would say if Shipment wasn't in the remaster, they'd probably be doing Call of Duty 4 itself a massive injustice. Even though it was a terrible, chaotic chaos map that was horrendous to play on numerous occasions, it was so good, it was so fun, it was so iconic. It kind of led the way for Rust, Dome on Modern Warfare 3. So I think there was a Black Ops, or was that, I don't know, I can't remember. But either way, that was a really iconic map, and I really hope they do consider to bring it back. If not in the base game, maybe as DLC, which would be quite good. But besides that, there's not really a whole lot to kind of talk about. We don't really have a whole lot of info or any kind of insight to the actual game. Obviously, we know it's a remaster. We know basically what's going to be coming with the actual game. But I still think there's a whole lot we can see in the way of multiplayer, especially how they're going to approach because I really like the challenges in Call of Duty 4 where you completed 75 headshots to get a camo, you did 100 to get the next one, etc, etc. And then of course once you completed every single challenge in that certain category, LMG, SMG, assault rifle, you'd get a gold camo for a very specific weapon. It'd be nice to see how they're going to approach that, if that's going to be, you know, kept completely the same or possibly tweaked, so maybe the gold camo is shared between all weapons instead of just, you know, the AK, Mini Uzi, M60 and SVD. I can't remember the actual name. It was called like a Dragunov? That is bugging the hell out. 1 second, right. Google, how does one pronounce Dragunov? Okay, Dragunov, okay. Dragunov. That's really what I'm kind of looking forward to, seeing how they're going to make the progression system. One thing I did see, it was kind of like a rumour, but it'd be nice to see an update to the Prestige, if they add, say, Prestige Master, maybe just extra levels to kind of get once you pass. You know, the possibility of adding, say, Prestige Master, so once you got to Prestige 10, there was still more to do, and that'd be really quite cool to see. I'm not really sure how people would take that, if they'd want the original 10 just kept as the original 10, or added the 11th as the Prestige Master. So with that said though, I think that's probably a good place to end it there. Actually, the last thing I wanted to talk about was it's time we spoke about the new Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So